KPBS On Demand is supported by Markel Design and Remodeling, helping homeowners with their home remodeling needs. From ADUs to kitchen remodels, room additions, and custom homes, Markel Design and Remodeling can help homeowners design and build their dream homes. More at trustyourhometous.com.
It's time for KPBS Midday Edition. On today's show, we're talking about the arts and culture shaping San Diego. I'm Jade Hindman with conversations that keep you informed, inspired, and make you think. Tijuana's opera company, La Ópera de Tijuana, turns 25.
You can feel the tension, you can feel the release, you can feel the joy, you can feel the anger, you can feel all that in the music. We're just parts that just complement that music.
Hear how they're celebrating then. Christopher Ashley reflects back on his tenure as La Jolla Playhouse's artistic director, plus your weekend preview. That's ahead on Midday Edition. Can you hear it? Well, you're listening to the powerful voices behind Tijuana's opera company, La Ópera de Tijuana. This year, they're celebrating 25 years of music and community. This Friday, they'll be taking part in a free community performance at the Casa de Cultura in Playas de Tijuana. And this October, they'll be performing the one-act opera Cavalleria Rusticana. Joining me to talk about it is artistic director José Medina. He helped found the opera in 2000. Welcome, José.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So great to have you here. Also, Gerardo Gaytán. He's a tenor in the opera. Gerardo, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jade, for having us, and hello to everybody.
Well, we're so glad to have you both here. Jose, you co-founded the opera 25 years ago. What are your early memories?
Maria Teresa Enrique and myself worked together before year 2000 in different projects. So in the year 2000, we decided to do something more, a step or two forward. And thanks to many people like the government and the Cultural Center, even San Diego Opera cooperated with us. And we did our first performances at the Cultural Center, which was Bohème and Elixir of Love. And that was the beginning of this very, very long experience. It's being a roller coaster, but something that brings to Tijuana something special that I think Tijuana needed so much.
Yeah.
So we're happy to say now that after 25 years, we're here. We're still here.
That's excellent. Gerardo, how did you first get into opera?
My journey into opera actually started a little later in life. As many Mexicans, I think I started my musical journey listening to trios, mariachis, and just being a bohemian at heart, and enjoying those times together with your loved ones and family, and enjoying music. Afterwards, I was introduced to opera, and I just fell in love with it. In Ópera de Tijuana, I was born in Tijuana. Tijuana's is my city, and my love for it is immense. So when I was invited for the first time to sing with Ópera de Tijuana, I was honored and enjoyed. So much joy for me to actually give back to my city the talent that I was, that I was it was God given, and to be able to share that with my town, my city, was just a joy. So it started later in life, but once I heard and started singing opera, I just fell in love with it, and it's taken me to all places all around the world, and I'm just so blessed to have sing opera.
That's great. Well, you're kind of like an opera superhero because you're a lawyer by day, a tenor by night. So how do you make all that happen?
Well, you definitely have to take in a lot of hours, and at the end of the day, it's all about passion, and it's all about what wrings your heart. For me is once I started again falling in love with opera, and not only that, then singing a full opera with all these moving parts, with all this dedicated chorus, with an amazing orchestra. You just can't feel more energy on stage than when you do in a full opera. So for me, I would sacrifice any time that I can in order for me to chase that and be able to do that and do it correctly, how it's meant to be and how it's supposed to be. And Opera de Tijuana is actually, they've been such strong advocates for taking classical music into Tijuana and being able to do productions the right way. That anytime I'm invited to sing with them, I'm more than happy to do so.
Yeah. Jose, I'm curious to know what's unique about performing opera in Tijuana.
Well, actually, I was born and raised in Tijuana too, and my all my father's family were musicians. I started with being a pianist, and I went to school, music school. I finished piano. I said to my father, "I want to see I want to be an opera singer." And he said, "You're crazy. You're a pianist, no?" And he got into me, so I got to do a nice career in the '90s. So I came back to Tijuana, and I thought that it's something that I could inject to the city somehow. We already had some great talents like Marco Labastida, Monica Abrego, Armando Pesqueira, the conductor. So I got together with them, and then later on Teresa Riquet. So we did this company, and I think it's been a great surprise how people. Gerardo was talking about passion. That's the word. It's a passion. Once you get involved into it, so that's what we're trying to do in the city. The the
Mhm.
years go by and the audiences come more interested and more. I love to hear them talk about certain titles and certain stories of opera. So
Yeah.
anyway, and of course, Placido Domingo, Carreras, Pavarotti, Sarah Brightman, Andrea Bocelli helps that a lot because they make this a little more popular and accessible to the audiences. So anyway, that's the story.
Well, because I was going to ask, I mean, it sounds like each year there's more exposure and more interest in it, but I also imagine there's been plenty of challenges to keep the opera going all these years. What are some of the biggest?
Well, the funds, of course, the fundraising. Sometimes to put certain things that are interesting, and that's the most difficult thing because it's a manifestation of art that is so full of people, orchestra, chorus, soloists, the supernumeraries, and scenery and lighting. So the fans are being tough, but some seasons we're really fortunate to have wonderful sponsors and people who cooperate with us. And so that's the challenge, the money, as always.
Mm-hmm. That's everything, right? And Gerardo, just like in terms of keeping the audience engaged and wanting to participate, why do you think it's important to make opera into something that's accessible for people?
Because I think there's an obvious stigma, right? There's this idea that opera is fancy, and it's only for the very rich or very wealthy people. But obviously it's not. It's meant to be for everybody. It's meant for the world. And that's one of the missions, and that's one of the very big accomplishments that Opera de Tijuana has done. And that where it says like, no, it's for the people, and here it is. Their advocacy and their efforts to bring it to everybody is just so evident. You can see it in their great uh, Festival de la Ópera in la calle, which means in the streets there's a festival at opera, and they do it every year, and it's a free show. Everybody is able to come in and come and go, and not only that, but they can taste great beverages or great meals and still enjoy opera at the same time. And so that's one of their main events. then they're able to do also these small events in smaller parts of the city of Tijuana, where it's this outreach program where it's taken to all corners of Tijuana, and they're exposed to this classical music, opera music, and it's beautiful. So I think that's the biggest thing for everybody to see. It's for everybody. It's not about being, just for the rich or just for the wealthy. It's meant to be shared for everybody.
Wow. Well, Jose, so all of that said, you all are turning 25 this year. It's your 25th anniversary celebration for the opera. What do you have in the works? How are you celebrating?
Well, we're doing this wonderful opera by Mascagni, Cavalleria Rusticana, which is it's a combination of the two things that we do through the year. Because before, Cavalleria is a short opera. It's a one-act opera. It lasts 1 hour and 15 minutes. But before that, we're doing some kind of a fair, an Italian verbena. So people can come and enjoy, like they do at the Festival de Opera en la Calle, and have some Italian restaurants that are exposing their their foods, and have some drinks, and then come and see the opera in Playas de Tijuana, the 4th of October. We're doing that with a magnificent. It's difficult for me to say how proud I am of this cast, because they're all Baja Californians, people who started here, then went out in many places in the world, in very important theaters like Gerardo, and they come to Tijuana and collaborate with us to do it. So this is a very special occasion, not just for the people who makes this, but for the audience who follows, and you people, wonderful people that gives us this time to promote culture in Tijuana, which is needed. So that's the way that are we going to celebrate on the 4th of October.
All right. Well, Gerardo, you'll be playing one of the leads in that opera in October. Tell me about your role in that.
Absolutely. Turidu, which is the main tenor in that opera, his is this character is just so full of dynamics because unfortunately, he's actually being unfaithful to his not wife at that point, but he's being unfaithful to his partner. But there's always this energy between him being caught and then him being denying the fact that he's actually cheating on her, and then but he's also torn because he loves this person. He actually does feel this connection with this person, that even though he's cheating on her, but he still feels this connection with her. So it's this struggle that he's going back and forth, but you see that energy on stage, and you see that pull between him and Santuzza, between saying like, no, 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 you're wrong, that, and you feel that energy, and you feel it in the music. That's the beauty of opera, because ultimately, us as opera singers, we do our part, but the reality is the composers just write it in the music. You can feel the tension, you can feel the release, you can feel the joy, you can feel the anger, you can feel that in the music. We're just parts that just complement that music, and be able to portray it, so that when you're in the audience, you'll see like, oh yeah, he's mad. For example, my character in many times he gets upset trying to deny he's cheating, even though the audience has already known that he's really cheating on her. so it's I mean, I think it's one of one of the few times, well, not few times, a tenor in most of the operas, he's always the guy who's cheating, and he's the macho guy. So I mean, I think we get away with it on stage, and that's the only point we can actually get away with anything like that. So
Wow. Well, I don't know if a lot of people like realize the kind of training and effort that goes into playing a part like that. So, I mean, how are you preparing for that?
Absolutely. No, you really have to get into it, and it's a lot about also who's there on stage with you. You have to be able to create that chemistry. You have to be able to create that tension on stage for it to be believable for the people that are watching. You really can't fake it. So it takes a lot, and it has to be a team effort. It has to be everybody on stage. As Jose mentioned, we have a great cast. If the cast is dedicated to it and they make it real, they make it feel real. We make sure that the audience is going to believe it and they're going to feel it, and they're going to go home and say, "Oh wow, that I really felt it." And for us as opera singers, I think the best compliment I could have is they would say like, "Oh, you made my skin, curl, or you made me feel something." That is God given, and because ultimately that's what we want. We want to give you an emotion that you will take home with you and say like, "Oh, I enjoyed that," because
Hmm.
it's something different.
Yeah. Well, Jose, what are your hopes and dreams for the future of Opera de Tijuana?
Well, the biggest dream is to have a theater in Tijuana that produces opera and musicals and zarzuela and operetta. That's the biggest one. But next to that, I think to have the funds to have a regular season, a regular season with two or three titles besides the festival on the street. That would be the next one. But it's we're getting there. I think little by little, it's being slow, especially
Hmm.
with the changing of governments and
Hmm.
ideas about culture. But I think it's getting there because people is getting more convinced that this is bringing something positive to the audiences in Tijuana. So those are the dreams of the company. I wanted to mention about the cast. Uh, Again, because Norma Navarrete, who's doing Santuzza, fabulous soprano, uh, and Javier Carrillo's doing the baritone. And I worked with them since they were, very, very young when they started. So I'm so proud of them too, and Ana Laura Rojas or Samantha Garcia, who are doing the other leading ladies. Everyone I know. I directed Gerardo I remember in a suite of Il Trovatore, it was so much fun in Pagliacci, and I've seen him, performing all over. And my God, I'm the like the grandpa now. I used to be like the father. Now I'm the grandfather. So that makes us uh, so happy and convince people. It really reassured that this is going in the right direction. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Well, Gerardo, I don't know if you're warmed up, but I gotta ask if you'll give us a
He's
little,
always warmed
you
up.
know,
Really,
if you stay ready, that's great. But so can you give us a little sneak peek? I mean, you want
you,
to sing something?
I don't think you could be an actual tenor without being always prepared, because any dinner I go, anywhere, there's always gonna be like, "Hey, can you sing something for us?" So don't worry. I'm used to it. I definitely I'm always warmed up, and I'm always ready to sing. So I may not sing something from Cavalleria. It's just
It's
I wouldn't do it justice
whatever's on your heart to sing.
because of the music. But something popular, which obviously I'm sure every listener has heard at least once or twice. But something like "O Sole Mio," everybody loves "O Sole Mio," and so yeah, more than happy to. Are you? Can I
Oh,
just
I'm ready.
start singing? All
Yeah.
right. Che bella cosa una giornata sole, un'aria serena dopo una tempesta, bell'aria fresca, pareggiana festa. Che bella cosa una giornata sole.
Oh my gosh, that was so wonderful. We appreciate it.
Unbelievable voice, and
Oh,
you
my
should hear it
apologies
live.
if it got cut off, but yeah.
Hey, we heard enough to know that it was absolutely beautiful, and what a treat for our listeners.
Okay, great.
Oh my goodness. Well, I've been speaking with José Medina, artistic director of La Ópera de Tijuana. José, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us again. And what can I say? Come and see us. You'll enjoy on the 4th of October, Cavalleria Rusticana.
Sounds like a great time. Also, Gerardo Gaytán. He's a tenor in Ópera de Tijuana. Gerardo, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. And yes, please come and see us October 4th.
Coming up, Christopher Ashley reflects back on his tenure as La Jolla Playhouse's artistic director.
I think everybody here takes really seriously the idea of creating a safe harbor for artists to do their very best and boldest work and to feel really like the Playhouse has ya.
We'll also discuss his world premiere musical, The Heart.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Bilhao Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood Services. Family owned and operated for over 4 decades, Bilhao has been serving the plumbing, heating and air, and water damage needs of the San Diego area since 1980. With their fleet of trained professionals, Bilhao has the ability to service all major and minor plumbing and HVAC emergency needs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Bilhao is committed to providing excellent service to their customers with transparent quotes and attention to detail on every job. Whether you're in need of an HVAC installation, plumbing, or water damage restoration in San Diego, they offer the convenience of scheduling an appointment over the phone, online, or through live chat on their website. Call 1-800-BILL-HOW or visit billhow.com because we know how.
Welcome back to Midday Edition. I'm Jade Hindman. La Jolla Playhouse has extended the run of The Heart to September 28th. The world premiere musical is the project of the Playhouse's artistic director, Christopher Ashley, who will be taking on the role of artistic director at New York's Roundabout Theater Company next year. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando spoke to Ashley about The Heart and his tenure at the Playhouse.
Chris, you are about to present a new play, The Heart, and literally, we have a heart as a character. Is this true?
It is true. Yes, this is a world premiere musical which takes place during 24 hours in the life of a heart and all the characters and people who touch it and are impacted by it in that day.
What were your first thoughts about this and the challenges that it might present?
Well, it's been a long and windy road for this musical, like most world premiere musicals. I would say most of them take 10 or 15 years to reach their first production. But we started out, the 2 composers, Ian and Anne Eisendrath, and I started out about a decade ago working on a musical about a heart transplant based on different source material, kind of underlying story. And that didn't quite come into focus. So when our book writer, Kate Kerrigan, came on board, she found a French novel called Mend the Living, or sometimes translated as The Heart, about a transplant. And it's this beautiful, warm, deep, extraordinary, moody, electric story about 24 hours in the life of a heart. So once we found the source material, then the musical has come into focus over the last 5 years or so.
So what was the attraction about centering something on a human organ?
Yeah, the heart is such a key metaphor or idea in our culture, right? It's hard to talk about it without making a metaphor or a simile about, let's put more heart into it as in rehearsal. But there's also something about like the idea of when someone's been injured, the generosity of donating your organs so that other people can have further and better lives. That seems like so many people have experience with that in their family. And there's something about, for this moment, pondering the question of what do we owe each other and how do we take care of each other, even people we've never met. It's a great moment to tell a story about taking care of each other.
And so how does this translate to the stage in terms of the way this is going to look for the audience?
Well, let me start with how it sounds, because
Okay.
that's kind of key here. So it's a completely electronic score. If you're a fan of EDM, this is the show for you. And it's a score that's made up of the sounds of the hospital, of the sounds of the club where the young surfer who's injured's girlfriend works as a DJ.
Your heartbeat's slow. I'd say it's kind of fast right now. Most people's heart rate is like 65 or 70, but yours is 60. And this beat is 120 BPM. Double your heart rate.
The sounds of the ocean, it's really where it starts with surfing the first wave of the day, and the sounds of the human heart. So it's this very unexpected set of sounds that come together to make this score. And amazing designers, including video designer, have created this kind of world where you're in hospitals, you're kind of pivoting on a dime. You can go anywhere in the course of this production, but the whole thing happens sort of dipping in and out of the experience of the heart itself. Sometimes you're inside the human body, sometimes you're surfing, sometimes you're in the hospital. Very exciting to stage because you sort of look at the script and say, how would you stage that? But I have a great partner, Mandy Moore, choreographer, who is just an incredible, innovative, interesting creator of stage picture and really unexpected movement.
And so in terms of following this heart, are you following characters that are interacting with it, or how does that play out?
Yeah, so it's one day, it's 24 hours, and there's 9 cast members who play 30 or 40 different characters. So you basically meet almost anybody who is impacted by that heart that day.
And if you only have 9 actors, then you're going to be doubling up people. How does that play out in terms of, do these actors, when they're like doubling up, does that add a layer of kind of meaning to who they are playing in terms of multiple people?
I think so. I mean, the authors have created 9 kind of arcs through the show that are kind of the accumulation of all the different people that they play. And it's also, because it's sort of based on a novel, they also sort of tell us the story. So when the show starts, 9 actors come out and begin to narrate it for us, and then it kind of activates and they sort of step into the story.
So does this have a little bit of the feel of like La Ronde, where you're like following something in a circle or kind of going around?
There certainly is some aspects of circularness. You like that? I like that idea, but definitely it's got a time clock on it.
7 a.m. Shift change. The handoff. Then I go to bed. I'm not late. 7:04. My mom wouldn't get off the phone. Huddle up. Good morning, everyone. 19-year-old male, a car accident near Tourmaline Beach, unconscious on arrival. It's the details, it's precision. Vitals, blood pressure and heart rate are stabilized. It's the weight of each decision. Have the parents been contacted?
Not yet.
Cordelia, right away.
We have to get this transplant accomplished in a given amount of time. So the pressure on the parents to decide whether or not to donate their son's organs, really moments after they discover that he's in a coma, the whole thing is under the pressure of that clock, which is great for a musical. It really like organizes the time in a beautiful, beautiful way. And then you also, because we only meet Simon in the very, very first scene, after that, Simon, the young surfer, is really a memory of all the different people who knew him. So you kind of dip in and out of his mother's memory and his father's memories of him and his girlfriend. And it ends up being, I think, a surprisingly hopeful story, because it sort of ends with new life.
Now, you were talking about the music and that there's like electronic music. Normally, that's not something what you think of as driving a theatrical musical. So what were the challenges of that?
Well, our music director's on stage, who's cueing the whole thing together with the actors. So you can sort of see the cueing and the sequencing of it happen in front of you. It's the theatrical work of the show is very exposed and is sort of part of, I think, the fun and the interest of it.
You're my heart.
You're mine.
Simon's heart.
Here are Simon's things. The final cerebral angiogram will take place in 2 hours. Take some time to think about it.
Time is ticking. Where will they land? Stuck but sinking.
most musicals start on a piano. Right, that in rehearsals there's a piano player who's doing it, and then you bring in a band later and you add all the orchestrations. This one, we've had the entire depth and complication of the music with us in every moment of rehearsal, which really allows you to stage very specifically to what the music is doing, like where there's a specific exciting sound or where it kind of gentles out. All of that is very worked into the choreography in a way that's been really, really exciting and gratifying to work with.
Juliet doesn't know.
And you mentioned that you've been working on this for a long time, but this is now turning out to be your penultimate play here at the La Jolla Playhouse. How does that feel? Is there something sort of fitting about this, or something that you are appreciating?
I really appreciate that the last 2 shows at the Playhouse are new musicals. That's feeling great, and there's nowhere more fun to direct a new musical than La Jolla Playhouse. Just the staff is so incredible here. They take such extraordinary care of the artists who come to work here. But also, I'm incredibly nostalgic right now. I've been here at the Playhouse for 18 years, and it's an amazing theater town, San Diego. It's an amazing organization, the Playhouse, and it's very hard to leave.
And we're sitting here in the library, which has on its wall a statement that says, "Safe harbor for the unsafe and surprising." Is that one of the things that you're kind of feeling nostalgic about or close to?
Yeah, I love that part of the mission statement. I actually love our whole mission statement. But definitely, I think everybody here takes really seriously the idea of creating a safe harbor for artists to do their very best and boldest work, and to feel really like the Playhouse has you. We're a place where you will provide everything that we can that you need, and create the best, most supportive, boldest environment possible.
And in what ways do you see this particular play kind of pushing the envelope or tackling something that you haven't done before that you're really excited about?
I think everything about this musical is different from every other musical. It has this electronic score that I've never heard before. There's no villain in it, except for maybe mortality. There's no lead character. All nine actors play powerful parts of an ensemble. So you're really watching humanity play out instead of just following the life of one lead character. It's 80 minutes, so it is a high energy, straight shot through. And there's something about it that feels very human, very emotional, and super modern.
This has gone through this long process, but is there something about this current moment in time that you feel makes the play especially resonant?
I think it's such a divided time that to tell a story about how we're all interconnected and the ways in which we all have responsibilities to care for each other it's a satisfying story to tell right this minute.
And talk a little bit about the collaboration you had with the writers. Like, what was that process like to get to this final point of what the final result is?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's such a peculiar beast, this musical, that it took us a little bit of time in early readings and workshops to figure out that the heart was the organizing principle. Early days, it was I think we knew what the main 5 characters are, and we wrote it in a more conventional way. And all of that started to seem kind of beside the point. The musical kept telling us, don't use the old rules, try to find new ones that suit this exact story. So what we kept finding is we needed to cut away any story that didn't directly attach to the heart and sort of the life of that heart in these 24 hours. It's also, everybody is a perfectionist. So there's nothing in that show that hasn't been kind of questioned, tested. A lot has been thrown out. In the last 4 weeks, I think we've cut 2 songs and added 2 totally new ones. So it's really gone through substantial changes in this rehearsal process. Also, the actors, the company of actors, are such a great part of the discovery of it. Yeah, this company has been so pivotal in discovering this piece. 5 or 6 of the 9 have been with it through many, many readings. They just, every time they ask a question, it opens a door to some great new possibility. They're super smart, they're deeply invested in their characters, and they've been a great part of this process.
Because this is following the heart, it sounds like it's a medical thing, like it has this very realistic sort of angle to it. But is there also kind of a more poetic or surreal element to this play?
Yeah, there's definitely maybe half of the show happens in a hospital. We've been really trying to get that right. We have amazing doctors and nurses and medical consultants who have, tried to keep us on a path connected to what actually happens in transplant medicine. But also, the whole thing has a kind of theatricalness and imaginative quality. The play happens in a 22-foot square, the sort of all the real-time action, but there's a kind of waiting room around the sides where the rest of the cast watches the scenes that they're not in, and also where they kind of do bits of narration kind of inspired by the novel about what's happening in the lives of these people.
That was KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando speaking with La Jolla Playhouse's artistic director, Christopher Ashley. The world premiere musical, The Heart, which Ashley directed, will be playing until September 28th. Still to come, Julia Dixon-Evans joins us with your weekend preview. KPBS Midday Edition is back after the break.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood Services. Family owned and operated for over 4 decades, Bill Howe has been serving the plumbing, heating and air, and water damage needs of the San Diego area since 1980. With their fleet of trained professionals, Bill Howe has the ability to service all major and minor plumbing and HVAC emergency needs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Bill Howe is committed to providing excellent service to their customers with transparent quotes and attention to detail on every job. Whether you're in need of an HVAC installation, plumbing, or water damage restoration in San Diego, they offer the convenience of scheduling an appointment over the phone, online, or through live chat on their website. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com because we know how.
Hey, thanks for sticking with KPBS Midday Edition. I'm Jade Hindman. This weekend, you can find art about civic gardens, jazz, queer comedy, and more. Joining me with all the details is KPBS arts reporter and host of the Finest podcast, Julia Dixon-Evans. Julia, welcome.
Hey, Jade. Thanks for having me.
It's always great to have you here. Okay, so a dual exhibit opens in La Jolla, which explores public art and civic gardens. First, what is a civic garden?
Well, think about like your green spaces or your public outdoor gathering spaces. I think of it as like really this community thing as well as nature.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so then how do civic gardens and public art come together in this exhibit?
So it's an exhibit of 2 artists. It's called Visions for Civic Gardens, and it's going to be at 2 Rooms Gallery, which is an independent art space in La Jolla. The artists are Esteban Cabeza de Baca, who was born in San Isidro, and Heidi Howard. And so the pieces in this exhibit are intended to reimagine public spaces and then landscapes specifically in San Diego from the past and the current day. And they're going to be using portraits, landscape paintings, and sculpture to kind of like spin on these ideas of civic gardens. And I did read that they're both inspired by Nicky de Sanfal, one of the great public artists of San Diego. So that's cool. And there's an artist talk at 6 p.m. on Friday at the Museum of Contemporary Art San Diego. It's nearby. And then after that, the reception starts at 2 Rooms at 7 p.m. This is on Friday. And then the exhibit will be up through October 4th.
Also in visual art, the Chicano Park Museum opens a new exhibit this week to celebrate a pioneering Chicano artist, Ramses Noriega. What do you know?
Yeah, so it's called Fragmentos del Barrio, and it opens Friday with a reception from 5 to 8. And Ramses Noriega is such a prominent voice from the Chicano art movement. He has a history of involvement in activism, art, and scholarship, kind of stretching all the way back to the 1960s and 1970s. And this exhibit is a great chance to see work from his entire career and learn more about the Chicano art movements, which is founded on resistance and a fight for equality. So it's the 60-year retrospective of his work. There's paintings, political posters, and more. And if you can't make the opening, it'll be up through February.
All right. Well, one more artist exhibit at the Free Timken Museum in Balboa Park. What's on view there?
Yeah, so it's actually a culmination of an artist residency from Marisol Rendon. She was there studying some of the artworks there in the Timkins collection and working on her own works. And she was focusing on this portrayal of what she's referring to as glory. The Timken has a ton of devotional images. There's a lot of halos at the Timken. And she used this process of mezzotint, which it's this really intricate printmaking process. You start with copper and then this rocking tool that goes back and forth over and over and over again to etch into the copper. And then you apply ink into the scratches and make your print. And these works that she has made they're really beautiful. They're really stunning. And I just love the whole process of it. This was supposed to actually be the closing weekend, but they are extending it through September. And the Timken's free, always free, and open 10 to 5 Wednesdays through Sundays.
Wow. Really does sound like some beautiful artwork there. Okay. There's also a variety show at New Village Arts on Sunday called Serving Laughs. So tell us about this event.
So this is a showcase of some San Diegan queer performers. There's stand-up comedy with Taylor Spencer. There's improv performances from Drag Grace Improv. So they'll have sketch comedy, drag performances, and more. And I really love that we're seeing a lot more of these variety shows. It's great to see creatives come together to put on a show. And I love that we're seeing more of it at these theater spaces. They're leading the charge with this kind of like bringing the community together. Mm-hmm. And this is 7:00 on Sunday at New Village Arts in Carlsbad.
Lovely. All right. And the Barona Band of Mission Indians will hold their 53rd annual Barona Powwow this weekend. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the annual powwow, it's a 3-day event. They're holding it at the Barona Resort and Casino, their sports complex there. This is in Lakeside. And it features Native American dance. There's hand drumming contests, music, singing, food. One of the things that they mentioned on social media is an Indian fry bread taco, which sounds really interesting. And they also have a market with art and handmade jewelry. It all kicks off on Friday with gourd dancing and then a grand entry of other dancers. This all begins at 6 p.m. Friday, and then it runs every day, ending 11 o'clock on Sunday. And it's all free with free parking.
All right, well, let's switch gears to music. A couple of great jazz suggestions, starting with Jazz at the Creek.
Yeah, so this is the 14th annual Jazz at the Creek Festival. It's 2 days of jazz, soul, R&B, gospel, and this is all performed at the lawn at the Educational Cultural Complex in Mountain View. And on Saturday, performers will include an R&B tribute act, Dirty Rice, featuring Darren, also Daryl William, David P. Stevens, and Arisa Nicole. And then on Sunday, saxophonist Gerald Albright headlines, Rebecca Jade will perform, the Group Fire, and Brittany Spalding. And the festival runs from 1 to 7 each day. And right now they're even offering a buy one, get one ticket option. So if you look fast, you might catch that.
And the San Diego Tijuana Jazz Festival is in early October, but you can start celebrating now with the festival's pre-party concert. Yeah. Good time there. Tell us about this performance.
Yeah, so this is a free concert. It's at Courtyard, and it features Charlie Chavez, Isu Afrochuco. He's bringing his band to perform his blend of Afro-Caribbean, jazz, and Latin soul music. And you'll also get a preview for some of the performances that you can find at the San Diego Tijuana Jazz Festival. It's going to be 3 days, 3 cities, 2 countries, at Courtyard downtown, Escondido's California Center for the Arts, and then also in Tijuana. And that is coming up October 2nd through 5th.
On Friday, legendary local band The B-Side Players will perform a free show in Escondido. They've been around for decades, but just released new music this year. So let's listen to Make It Through.
I believe the day will come. All the people live as one.
That That's new music from the B-Side Players. Julia, tell us, how can we actually see them perform?
Yeah, at the California Center for the Arts, Escondido, they're doing their Musica in La Plaza performances. They're free shows. They're outdoors at the Lyric Courtyard. And yeah, B-Side Players, they first started in 1993, and they're still releasing new music. Their 10th album of music is coming out soon. And their sound is this blend of rock, funk, Latin, jazz, and hip-hop. The show is at 7 on Friday, and general admission is free, first come, first served, but you can reserve bistro sitting if you're willing to pay for a ticket. Those are just $30.
All right. Well, the San Diego Symphony performs their annual end-of-summer tradition at the Shell on Saturday, and I hear there'll be fireworks for this.
Right. So this is their annual Tchaikovsky Spectacular, and they're going to perform 5 works by Tchaikovsky and also a piano piece by Chopin. But the Tchaikovsky pieces include some of his most famous compositions, including the overture from Romeo and Juliet, which you've definitely heard before. And then during the finale performance of their iconic 1812 Overture, which is a piece that the symphony performs most years in this performance, they'll punctuate the piece at the end with fireworks above the Shell. This is Saturday at 7:30, and there's still lawn tickets available, which isn't always the case for big shows like that. The lawn seats tend to sell out fast. And this is also a good chance to just go down there without tickets to the Embarcadero area and kind of see what you can hear nearby. There's a public walking path that goes around the Shell with some benches, so you can maybe find a spot to post up and see some fireworks.
Sounds like a great time. You can find details on these and more arts events at our website, kpbs.org. I've been speaking with KPBS arts reporter and host of The Finest, Julia Dixon-Evans. Julia, thank you.
Thank you, Jade.
Thanks for joining us today. If you missed anything, you can download KPBS Midday Edition on all podcast apps. Don't forget to watch Evening Edition tonight at 5 for in-depth reporting on San Diego issues. Also, you can always share your feedback or segment ideas at midday@kpbs.org or give us a call. That number is 619-452-0228. Before we go, I'd like to thank the Midday Edition team, producers Ashley Rush, Juliana Domingo, and Andrew Bracken, senior producer Brooke Ruth, arts segment contributors Beth Accomando and Julia Dixon-Evans. Our technical producer is Brandon Trufa, and the Midday Edition theme music you hear is from San Diego's own Surefire Soul Ensemble. The Roundtable is here tomorrow. I'm Jade Hindman. We'll talk again Monday. But until then, have a great day on purpose, everyone.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood Services. Family owned and operated over 4 decades, Bill Howe has been serving the plumbing, heating and air, and water damage needs of the San Diego area since 1980. With their fleet of trained professionals, Bill Howe has the ability to service all major and minor plumbing and HVAC emergency needs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Bill Howe is committed to providing excellent service to their customers with transparent quotes and attention to detail on every job. Whether you're in need of an HVAC installation, plumbing, or water damage restoration in San Diego, they offer the convenience of scheduling an appointment over the phone, online, or through live chat on their website. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com because we know how.